Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I wanted to come through and talk to you guys, okay, about the practicum process at the University of Toronto. Woo! I'm sure that COVID has made this practicum experience very different from what we're used to. Let me just start off by prefacing this entire video there first. So for starters, this particular program, in order to graduate, you need to have fulfilled 1.5 credits. 1.5 credits that is strictly for your placement or practicum, right? In the first year, you do half of your year in practicum, right? So the first half is all like theory, and then like the second half is all practicum and a few courses, right? The second year, which I'm going into, is an entire year. So an entire year long practicum, okay? And then again, there are a couple of courses that you take along the way. Now, let me say that my first practicum experience in terms of like the entire process, I lucked out. I was fortunate enough to go for a practicum that was in my workplace. It was allowed, and I filled out the paperwork, submitted it to the practicum office, boom, I got placed, right? And it was great because it was at my place of employment, so the people there weren't new. I was just reporting to a different manager, and she was also my clinical supervisor, and I got to do some really cool things above and beyond my role at the time, right? The second year, and the experience, let me just say, the experience at the actual placement that I selected was great. The process itself was great because I didn't have to go through the pass system, which I'm gonna talk about next. Now, the first thing that I'm going to suggest that you do before I get into the pass system is that you have to read. Reading is fundamental here at U of T. I'm sure that that would be like a super dope tagline or something like that for them, because they have a lot of information on their websites. The School of Social Work, I would say, really did a great job accommodating its students by decreasing the amount of hours that would be required for this particular term, right? I think the standard is like, it's like 500 and something, and we only had to do like 300 and something. I'm not sure what the numbers are, but it was a lot less, right? Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into this pass system. So the pass system, or the Practicum Administrative System, I think is what it stands for, is a system that uses an algorithm to decide what student gets placed with what placement. And basically the students go in, they rank, they choose from a wide variety of practicum opportunities that have been offered. You go in and you rank them, I believe 1 to 10. You're ranking them, but it still randomly assigns you whatever you've ranked, right? So you go in there, you rank them, you're assigned, you get the option to choose. Once you make your selection, you put that selection request through to the practicum that you want to be a part of. You get contacted by the clinical supervisor. They hit you up, you do an interview, boom, bang, you're there, and you're underway with your practicum, right? Now, I have to let you know, the hospitals, super competitive. So Mount Sinai, St. Joseph, CAMH, I think is it St. Michael's? St. Michael's, like those hospitals are very, very, very competitive, right? So competitive that you can only do your placement, whether in year 1 or year 2, one time at a hospital. That's how competitive they are. So, and it sucks because it does randomly assign you, right? So if a lot of students are ranking hospitals in their top 5, well, guess what? Not all of you are going to be able to get it, right? And so that's where it's a little bit unfortunate because, that's it goes through the system, and that algorithm kind of does its thing, and it spits out whatever it is that you get, right? So that's your first option. The second option would be what I did, was going through my employment, right? So there's a document, I believe it's called the employment/volunteer practicum form. And basically it's like a 1 or 2 page document. You fill it out, you sign it, date it. The clinical supervisor at the place that you want to go to for your practicum, they sign it, date it, send it back to you, send it through to the practicum office, and the practicum office and then the practicum office decides whether or not you can go ahead and do it, right? And obviously with all of these practicums, you have to be under a clinical supervisor who has their MSW as well, right? And then the third and final option is going into your own community, right? And finding a practicum that you think works for you. And it's the same type of process. There's probably a document that you have to complete. Send it to the respective clinical supervisors. They sign it, send it back. You sign it, send it back to the practicum office. And then they decide from there whether or not you can go ahead and do it, right? Now, I've made that sound a lot easier and a lot less anxiety inducing. But it's actually really anxiety inducing from what I hear. I have been fortunate enough in both my terms not to go through the PASS system, right? So I have actually started my second year practicum. I got an early start. Sometimes the practicum office will either send out like a mass email or have some postings on the practicum website where, you know, there are certain opportunities that have come up a lot sooner than, you know, anticipated. Usually the year-long placement is from September to April. So technically everybody should be starting their practicum this fall and then till spring of next year. But I opted to try to get a head start in this thing, and I opted to do my practicum at U of T. So they have a program that offers cyber counseling support. So phone or video therapy, right? So I've started doing that. It's been really cool, but that's a placement that I opted to go for. They sent out one of those emails. I sent through my resume. I got a call back. I did my interview. Boom, I'm in, right? So fortunate enough for me, my experience has been outside of PASS. So I am here to let you know that if those opportunities exist and you want them, you can definitely get a placement outside of PASS. I was not interested in working at a hospital at all. I have no interest. So for me, I didn't have that struggle, but I know a lot of my peers did, and their experience definitely hasn't been, you know, as smooth as mine was, unfortunately. Now, once you are assigned your practicum, you are also assigned a faculty field liaison, an FFL. And so that person is like your middleman between, you know, the practicum office and your actual place of placement, like your actual practicum, right? So if you have any questions, concerns about the practicum process, about hours, about anything practicum related, your FFL can answer those questions. Or if they don't know the answer, they can go back to the practicum office, get an answer and come back to you, or they can reach out to your supervisor, your clinical supervisor at your practicum or placement that you've chosen, and, you know, communicate with them for you there on your behalf as well. So your FFL is your friend. Another thing that I want to mention real quickly is that in year one, your practicum, it doesn't matter where your practicum is, right? But in year 2, your practicum should be, I think it actually has to be, in relation to your stream. So, you know, I'm in the mental health and health stream, right? So I could have opted for what I'm doing now, or something at a hospital, or something that deals specifically with mental health or health, right? I wouldn't necessarily be doing some placement in, you know, gerontology, for example, if I'm a mental health and health stream person or candidate, right? So you just want to be mindful that that is kind of what you have to do year 2, year 1. There's a lot of flexibility. I know people who did policy and did research and stuff like that, and they enjoyed that process. And yeah, you just want to be mindful that in year 2, your practicum should match what your stream is. And something else to bear in mind is that your VSS, so your vulnerable sector check, that needs to be done. If you're in a hospital, you have to have like an updated, I think, immunization record. I think it's like TB, or like there's certain shots and things like that that you have to make sure that you get. And when you're at the hospital, you get you know, PPE and all that kind of stuff, especially now, obviously, because of COVID, they've kind of gone the extra mile to make sure that everybody's safe. And there's also some training that happens before you do your practicum. You're actually going to be assigned some trainings that you have to do to get through, that teaches you about the PPE, that teaches you about, like, you know, conduct and like professionalism and all that type of stuff. Now, I don't know if this was always a requirement prior to COVID. It seems like there would have been something in place regardless, but they definitely upped the ante at U of T in terms of providing information about, you know, the PPE and following COVID protocol and everything like that, especially when you are in the hospital. Now, the very last thing that I want to mention is that with the pass system, it's not unusual not to be placed the first round. So I know that the pass system was open, I think it was last week, or will be open actually tomorrow. I think it actually opens up tomorrow. So tomorrow at like 6 a.m. or 9 a.m., I'm not sure what the practicum times are, but tomorrow students will, you know, flood the practicum system, flood pass, rank their rankings of what it is that they want to do, get matched via the algorithm, and then proceed from there, right? So I know that is, I'm pretty sure that that's tomorrow. I could be wrong. And by the time I get this video out, it won't even matter. It won't even matter. But like I said, it's not unusual not to be placed the first time. People go right back into the pass system, they rank it again, and then they're paired off again, and they do so until everybody's matched with a placement or a practicum, right? So worry not, fear not if you don't get matched right away. The university promises to match you so that you can go ahead, get your hours, and get up on out of there, okay? I hope this video made sense. I hope it provided you with some clarity. As always, please feel free to leave your questions and your comments in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to my channel for some more social work related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.